And speaking of people who have things working in their favor, it was recently reported that US Postmaster General Louis DeJoy has awarded a massive contract. The post office has awarded a massive contract. He swears he wasn't involved in the process. But they have awarded a massive contract to a company called XPO Logistics. And those who have been following, Louis DeJoy's story for the past year, I'm sure that company name certainly rings a bell, right? Because XPO Logistics happens to be the company that Louis DeJoy, up until October, held a massive financial interest in. But he divested from that company in October. Kind of. Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington says that this is really a sham divestment because all he did was give all of his holdings to his children, who in turn will most likely just give it all back to him once he is no longer the Postmaster General of the United States. And again, the contracts being steered towards XPO that DeJoy swears he didn't have a hand in total $120 million, which could result in a net windfall for the DeJoy family of $23 million. So the big question everybody has, of course, is why is Louis DeJoy still the Postmaster General of the United States? And the answer is because, man, the post office infrastructure is set up weird. That is honestly the best way I can describe it. Going through, and I'm not sure if David has explained this, but I'm going to go ahead and explain it in a really slimmed down version here. But to just sum it up, incredibly hard to remove a Postmaster General. Here's what's happening. Biden cannot fire Louis DeJoy. He is powerless to stop DeJoy. But what he can do is he can appoint new members to the Board of Governors, of which he's already nominated 3. They have not been approved. And then the Board of Governors are the ones who get to vote to oust the Postmaster General. Here's a problem, though. There's 3 vacancies. Biden's nominated people for those. And if and when they get approved, Democrats will have the majority on that Board of Governors. So you would think at that point that DeJoy's history, right? Nope. Because 2 of the Democrats on that Board of Governors were appointed by Trump. And those same 2 Democrats actually voted in favor of this New Deal. So they're okay with it. They're okay with DeJoy. So Biden can get his people there. Democrats will have the majority, but they still probably not going to remove him at that point. So then what's the remedy? Well, I'm glad you asked. The remedy is Biden can fire members of the governor's board with cause. Now that little statement, with cause, or for cause, I think is how it's phrased. Very difficult. Because cause can mean anything, and cause can mean nothing. And cause can be a very specific incident depending on which court is looking at it. And that's what's so worrisome here. Firing these individuals for not removing Louis DeJoy for a very obvious conflict of interest would be considered cause, depending on which court hears this case. Now, does it have to go before a court? Absolutely not. But if these individuals sue alleging that there is no cause, it would go in front of a court. And the experts have pretty much agreed that's what would happen if Biden fired any of these individuals. So we are effectively stuck for the moment. I know we'd like to think that Biden could do something about this, but honestly, this is one of those times where his hands are tied. And it sucks so bad that that is the position that we are in, but unfortunately it is the position that we are in. And DeJoy, it appears, is going to continue to use this position to make as much money as possible for when that day comes, when he's no longer the Postmaster General. And to me, that day can't come soon enough, but I'm worried that it may not come anytime soon. I am Farron Cousins, in for David Pakman, and don't forget, you can get even more from me on my YouTube channels, youtube.com/TheRingOfFire, youtube.com/FarronBalanced, and I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram @FarronBalanced. We'll be right back with more of the David Pakman Show.
One of our sponsors is Magic Spoon breakfast cereal, sweet and tasty like the cereals I loved as a kid, but without the sugar or the carbs. Every serving of Magic Spoon has 0 grams of sugar, only 4 net carbs, 140 calories, and packed with 13 grams of protein. Perfect if you're doing keto, perfect if you're doing low carb, great if you're just trying to reduce your excess sugar intake, and because it's packed with protein, it's great before or after a workout. Magic Spoon flavors include cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry, and cinnamon. They're bringing back cookies and cream. They're bringing back maple waffle. You can build your own variety box and try them all. Magic Spoon is so confident in the product, if you don't love it as much as I do, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Go to magicspoon.com/Pakman. The link is underneath this video, and you'll get $5 off when you use the promo code Pakman at checkout.